Hello and welcome to Raising Consciousness Now and Consciousness Now TV. I'm your host, Veronica Tracy-Smith, and today I'm really excited to bring you Dr. and Reverend Cynthia Bourgeault. She's a prolific writer on Christian mysticism and centering prayer. She's a teacher of spirituality and Christian mysticism, and she incorporates the wisdom traditions around the world as she teaches. I really think that you're going to like this interview. I would encourage you to listen to it a couple times and to also turn up the volume. This was a spontaneous interview. I had my iPhone and my iPad with me, and I didn't have a working mic. So turn up the volume and enjoy this interview with Dr. Cynthia Bourgeault. Hi, Cynthia. Thank you so much for joining us here. We have a really broad audience on Raising Consciousness Now, and I wonder if you could speak for a few moments on some salient points about Christian mysticism so people can be introduced to it who don't know anything about it.
Well, we have a long history in the West of Christian mystics, people who have explored living in a greater proximity to God. And of course, when you put that in the classic kind of language of the church, it sounds like they're on an inside track with intimacy with God. What they actually turn out to be is explorers of states of non-separated consciousness. And really, you often hear the statement that a mystic is someone who wants to be one with God. What you really see is this oneness comes at a point of arising before consciousness splits into subject, object, and people with all their diverse qualities. So it's really swimming upstream to an undivided source and allowing that to be stabilized as the center of one's own identity.
Okay. Well, how can we do that for ourselves if we're new on this journey or on this path and we meditate and we do the things that we think will give us more enlightenment to let go of our ego selves? What can we do to continue on the path and maybe more so on the mystical path?
Well, I think that the emphasis is not so much on what I can do on my path, because that's a little bit of a self-improvement project, and it's more like how can I serve better by removing the things that get in the way? And that deeply there's no way to go, and there's not even a journey because we're already there. But our pride, our egocentric clinging, our attachment, our fear of loss, all these things get in the way of undivided and unconflicted action. And so what practice really does is allow us to begin to work through and transcend old conditioned habits that don't serve anymore. And also, in a way, there's no such thing as practice. It's all the real thing. It's a direct infusion and connection with this energizing and compassionate energetic field that helps us to position ourselves in life in a different way and act in a different way.
Okay, so it's more the being than the doing, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I say don't take on the whole thing that I have to get enlightened in order that I can do something useful. It's like, I have to lose 100 pounds before I can start to, participate in the world of women. It's not so. We begin where we begin, and practice helps us, and a compassionate heart will take us a long way, even if we have no practice whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. So developing more of a compassionate heart, is there anything in terms of, like a tool or something that we could, I know I'm, again, going back to something to cling on to, something to practice each day?
In the Christian path, at least as Jesus taught it, it's exactly that. It's practicing constantly, learning to see where you get attached in all sorts of ways, and learning how to let go of attachment. Centering prayer is a great meditation practice for the Christian path because it does just that at a very basic level of meditation. We practice simply with letting go of thoughts that we're thinking, that we're engaged in. When you get bound up with a thought, you practice letting it go, releasing your mind from that subject-object configuration and your emotions from wanting to hang on to that experience or thing you're thinking about. Then we carry it out into life with the help of some basic witnessing and self-observation that allows us to spot when we're working out of constriction or hidden agendas or old fearful conditionings that's trying to make an agenda go a certain way. We feel the attachment just in the constriction in our body. We learn to relax whenever you feel that inner constriction. It's a pretty good tip-off that you're insisting on or clinging to or clutching on to something. So you learn to relax at first, and then you can do your psychological work of finding out why you got hooked in the first place. But the releasing of attachment, energy constantly in this planet seems to want to flow by default into an attached configuration. And as you learn to become sensitized to spotting that and releasing it, you're actually participating in a really real and physiological way, not just an attitudinal way, in rewiring consciousness so that it can live beyond attachment. And when you live beyond attachment, you really live beyond fear and violence.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I had the real experience of this, asking you if you do an interview with us for Raising Consciousness Now, and then I let it go. And my word lately has been surrender. When I do the contemplative practice is surrendering, but from a physical way. And then again, feeling a little nervous about, doing a good job with this interview. And, oh wait, it's not mine to do. It's mine to let go of.
Yeah.
So exactly what you were talking about. And I've been with you for a day and a half now, in an incredible workshop that you've given here on contemplative remembering. And so just doing that practice, I know that's probably my word that I keep putting in there, but it helps me remember there is something that I can do in terms of letting go of the doing.
Yeah.
It's that spiral of going around.
It's sort of creating more space for others to be, other things, other sentient beings. And when we discover that we can live well without that kind of clinging and attachment and insistence that's so typical of the egoic personality, other things have a chance to be. And we can receive people and cultures and nations and organic life that's different from ourselves deeply into our being.
That's beautiful. Now I know you have a new book coming out. Can you tell us a bit about your book and when it's coming out, when we can actually get a hold of a copy?
Well, it's called The Holy Trinity and the Law of Three. It will be out in July. It's already up on the websites of the various famous internet booksellers. So, but at the heart of Christianity for a long time has been the image of the Trinity. But most people don't know much about it except that they quickly say, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And they think it's a tool that was simply cobbled together to prove that Jesus was God, or at least on equal par with God. But there's been a whole underground stream of teaching that really sees the Trinity as a mandala of dynamic interabiding and of exchange between realms. And what I've taken this with is to say that it also encapsulates inside us a very, very ancient principle of growth called the Law of Three, that if you know how to apply it, you can use across all kinds of arenas of life to be a skillful and effective change agent. So the book explores that law, then shows why it has something to do with the heart of the Christian teaching. And then what I do is try and take apart the history, the biblical history of the world from the point of view of the Law of Three.
Wow,
So
that sounds like quite an undertaking.
Yeah.
And a beautiful book to read, especially about being a change agent right now in a time of such great violence on the planet.
Yeah.
And that's really why we started Raising Consciousness Now. It's like, how could we have a hand in making a different world and a better world? So really,
well, that's what we're all working at. That's what we're all
Right.
chipping away. And I would just say that the letting go, surrendering, making space process, as we really take it on as our spiritual practice, as our sadhana, we change the planet. Because it's the nature of consciousness when it's free and liberated to flow out to other consciousnesses so liberated, and to begin to create a kind of critical velocity of understanding.
Right.
That's what changes the planet.
Right, and therein lies the hope.
Yeah,
Therein
exactly.
lies the hope. Well, thank you so much for your time. We
Well,
really
you're welcome.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So this is RaisingConsciousnessNow.com. Join us for other wonderful videos, and we'll also have a link for Cynthia's book underneath this video. Thank you.